of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, please help our best counsel make the best decisions for our community. In your name we pray. All right. The first order of business this evening is for council to appoint someone for this meeting to be the pro tem recorder or just someone to take notes so that we can have accurate minutes for to review of this meeting. So I will open the floor for any suggestions or motions.
I make a motion that we ask our town clerk Sharon Quirk to take that responsibility.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion? Heck no.
Congratulations, Sharon.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm now, see, I have to you have to remind me not to take minutes because I'm scribbling. I don't like it. It doesn't move. It's got like a broken wheel. I don't know how he does it. It's not very comfortable to me. So anyway, all right. If we could have a look at the minutes of the April 15th meeting, which seems like such a long way away.
You want to take roll call?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I've got the roll call. See, I asked for help and I
Well,
could I have roll call, please? That would be you.
Scott Murphy is absent. Susan Webster.
Here.
Elizabeth Skinner.
Here.
Mary Hickey.
here.
Rebecca McLeod.
Here.
Greg Sheen.
Here.
And David O'Connell.
Here.
Okay. All right. Review the minutes of the April 15th meeting. Did you all have a chance to look over those minutes?
Need a motion to approve them?
We need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 15th, 2025 meeting.
Second. Okay. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Persons before council, we don't have anyone here on the agenda, but we do have several items that will come up through the meeting that I think some of you have an interest in. Communications from the mayor or any kind of, the only thing I would have to say is we did weather a very bad storm about 3 weeks ago, I guess it was. The town is back in order somewhat. There are people with property that's still damaged. There is still gravel in the road and like that. It was a terrible storm, and a lot of people, I know I personally had like 15 trees down.
Really?
Yeah, holes in the roof.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it was a bad one. So we got through it, and I think we all have electricity now and in town. It was fairly soon everyone had electric, but it was terrible for a lot of people in the rest of the county. So.
Well, I also think it's important that we commend the mayor on the storm on Saturday evening, and he's down at the water plant, ankle deep. You know, the switching from over to the auxiliary. The generator did kick on, but not the auxiliary tower. And he was the only one that was able to fix that. No one else was available. You're not getting an electrician that time of night during a crisis like that. And he managed to get it fixed. So it was.
It
would have been a serious issue if he wasn't able to do that. So
absolutely.
he did a great job.
Yes, he did.
Thank you, Mayor Murphy.
Yeah, I called him in the middle of it and said I can't get out because I have wires down all around the house, trees down all around the house. Because you know how you are.
Well, there were 4 people holding flashlights down there. She would have been the 5th, and there was one guy working. So that was Scott figuring it out. So.
Are you going to study plumbing and HVAC?
I am not, but I was one of 4 people holding a flashlight, and I know where Scott lives. So in case of emergency, we've already worked out that Annie trained Jason on what to do with the little orange tool inside of the transformer.
Greg was saying, way to go, Scott.
Right.
Way to go, Mayor.
Will you be getting your CDL to drive the trash truck?
None of that is going to happen. I'm disappointing you all greatly.
Infinite numbers of opportunities for you around the corner here, Greg. Professional development of all kinds.
I know. Okay, all right. Let's move down here through the committee and board reports. On track, I don't believe we have a report this evening. The next meeting is May 22nd at 4:30, and those meetings are happening here in this room. The Bath Development Authority, of course, in the last meeting, we did suspend that. I did see in the Morning Messenger last week that it wasn't on the agenda, so we couldn't vote on it, but it was on the agenda, and we did vote to suspend it.
Yeah.
I double checked that when I.
Did we fact check with Trish to let her know
I-
that we got?
No, I haven't
Okay.
seen her to speak to her about this, but,
Okay.
it was on the agenda.
Okay.
The Bath Development Authority, also one thing, we may keep it on the agenda for a while longer, because there is still money in that account. And until I think those things are shuffled out, and that money is split up wherever it's gonna go, we could keep it on. And then, as far as I'm concerned, that agenda item can go away till it's needed again.
Sure.
Okay? Parks and Rec,
Nobody here?
nobody here. Okay, Planning Commission, Larry isn't here, and Dave, I think we are supposed to be attending some meetings and doing some things.
So before the colonel left,
I know, I'm scared for
It's
the-
true. he did leave everybody their to-do list, and I do want to encourage us all to give that consideration. So for every committee has basically tell us about your objectives that you're going to have for the next 10 years. Hopefully you can work out what your strategy is to meet those objectives. But I think the first step is to outline what are your long-term objectives. It's something that we need to think about in the water committee. Basically, one of those objectives would be to have a more stabilized plant. That would be one of those objectives, right? Do we expand capacity? That would be an objective, right? So those are the kind of things that every department, every committee should want to think about. In terms of like Parks and Recs, I can think of, or excuse me, not Parks and Recs, but Public Works. I can think of, do we expand our street operation to do street cleaning, right? Those are the kind of, I'll call it wish list, that would be a good idea for us to think about. Put it on there. You don't have to necessarily meet that objective, but by putting it on there and by reviewing it every year, you say, you know what, we did want to do that. Why haven't we moved on it? So it's a way to close to the fire.
And Larry he's very good at his job as president, so we should take his request seriously. I'm not sure when he's gonna be back, but I'm sure he has expectations.
Later this summer, right?
He's
got
gonna be
some time.
gone 3 months.
Mid-July, and he would like the reports back by then.
If you could get us a date on that. So
Well,
Yeah.
there was a, from a calendar point of view, something that was put forward, and I think is a good idea. And that is to define your objectives before election day. So that when the new town council is formed and there are new committees, the new committee can actually look at those objectives and then decide maybe they like it, maybe they don't. And then they could choose to say, you know what, we don't want to have that on there. So the real goal is to define for the old committee to say, this is what we think the future ought to bring, and then have the second one kind of confirm it. And let the second committee actually figure out what are the strategies of getting from here to there.
Okay, that's helpful, Dave. Thank you.
all right, Rail Trail.
Well, some things have happened. We submitted a request to the county. Pete and I worked on how we would remediate parcel 1A, which is the grassy area and the parking area for the trailhead. We asked our streetscape engineer to come up with a estimate based on DOH requirements that was in the original bid that they put out. We got those numbers. We took it to the county. The county is very enthusiastic about moving forward with that and having the town do the construction. We forwarded it at their request to DOH, and just a few hours ago, we got the word that it looks like it's gonna be approved.
It looks like it's gonna be fruit. Why don't they just go ahead?
We are still waiting on streetscape approval for the design of Congress Street.
I know, but it's
Basic.
it looks good.
So the approval is for the town to take over the
The
construction.
approval is to take money out of the grant amount, which has already been matched by the county and sent to DOH, to bring some of that money back or approved for reimbursement to the county, because the county is the sponsor.
The county is a grant sponsor.
Right, the county would prefer that we do it, since we already know what we're doing with the remediation, and we have an LRS, or licensed remediation specialist, under contract already, and we already did parcel 3. So they would prefer that we handle all of the solicitation, the contracting, the oversight, but they will reimburse the bills.
So that's for the remediation aspect of it.
Yes, once it's remediated, then we can do what we want to.
Okay, at that point,
Except for the right of way for the
so
trail.
when we get to that point, do we have a plan that's been approved by the county, or do we have to develop a plan for the rest of that work and still get that approved? by
What
the
we
county?
have is a remediation work plan that we have under agreement with DEP for how the remediation has to proceed.
Okay.
The thing that we don't have is the fact that there's another grant, the congressionally approved spending that you are to do development on the depot lot on parcel 1A. So to get that done, which would involve developing a plan of where the restrooms are gonna go, where the utilities need to go, what other amenities that might need to go in, like where is the pavilion gonna be? If we're gonna set up a pavilion, we need to make sure that we have adequate foundations and things like that. We need to have that at least partially underway so that we don't pave something and then rip it up again for water lines.
Right, that was my
Mhm.
question. So
So it's gonna be a little bit
Mhm,
dancing
mhm.
around to figure out how we get it done.
So is your vision when they do the, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
When we do the remediation work, are we gonna pave at that point? Or are
We ask for paving money.
Okay,
But it can be held off, the money, the actual paving to do
So
some
we
of
know
this
that we have-
underground work, that it could be.
We can get
that
partial,
last
it
part of
depends
the
on how we do
remediation.
it, you know, you don't wanna hire a contractor if you're gonna do both things. We have some, earth moving to go on that grassy area, and we have to bring in material to cap it. The basic lot has gravel that was brought in during the first phase of the remediation that CSX did years ago. So we just need to put some gravel on top of that before we pave, so we can hold off on paving, because it would probably be a different contractor anyway. So we can get at least something underway.
and where's the sewer line? And so if we're building bathrooms, where are we
It's
connecting?
on William Street, the closest.
So we're
William
moving
Street.
we're
From, we
moving
can,
towards the
we can
streets.
connect right into William Street.
Yeah, and it makes
and
sense to put
Scott
the
Street.
restrooms maybe over closer
Closer
to
to
Williams, so they can be watched a little easier than in the back.
Mm.
But we need a plan, we
Yeah.
need a layout, a master plan of
No, we do. And we
where
need
the
to-
pavilion's
and
gonna
we need to
be.
bring, there's other stakeholders that want,
They wanna have a say in what that looks like.
for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, I can certainly understand why the bathrooms would move closer to William Street. That makes sense, since that's where the sewer line
County is also the sponsor for that money,
are also.
Mhm.
So
however, it is town property, so
will
Yeah.
the Mills Group's plan be used at all?
they don't have a plan, they have a video.
Right.
That's not really a plan.
So they actually didn't do an engineering plan?
No, they were
It was a
under
concept.
contract for the depot building itself.
All right,
and-
okay,
And they
all right,
said, would you
okay.
like to see what it would look like? And we said, yes.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
They did that on their, we did ask.
And they
them to do
allowed
that.
us to
Yeah,
have
I mean,
some
it was great.
ideas.
Yeah,
to
it
put
was
in that
nice,
storm.
very nice.
So unfortunately, that set a certain expectation in the community.
Right.
Well, we can meet that expectation, I think. I think we can actually accomplish what they, the vision. It's gonna be a little bit different, nothing is the same as
Yeah.
it did on a drawing, full drawing.
I'm sure there'll be input from the community. We have Mr. Dusty Martin here this evening from Travel Berkeley Springs, and so I see him looking and listening very closely.
I'm
because
sure the
it's
county's
a lot
gonna, our commissioners
I'm glad
gonna
you're
jump
here.
back into,
Right.
their
What they want
thoughts
for
and
it, what-
expectations.
yeah.
for
It's a
that.
community asset. It should surprise no one that the community would like some say in what
Sure.
that footprint ends up
And they've
looking
been
like.
waiting long enough,
Right, and
so.
And the focus grant that was done with the assistance of the Brownfields group, I guess it's probably been about, well, it was pre-pandemic.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was, yes. it
That had a
was.
lot of input from the community, so we can dig that out and
Yeah.
read some of the
Mhm.
comments. A lot of it's centered on, really trying to get that up and coming and
And that
bringing
focus
more people
grant,
up there.
yeah, was done by the Bath Development Authority, and everything from the Bath Development Authority has been transferred to the On Track program. And this is a perfect
Right.
thing for them to be involved in, if not being the focal point, moving forward with it. So,
that's good news. Really
Yeah.
exciting. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's important.
And long time coming,
I like to
to
move
state
dirt.
the obvious.
Hmm?
Go
I
ahead.
like to move dirt.
I know, we do. Streetscape, anything on that?
We haven't heard back from DOH about phase 6 design approval. Still waiting.
Okay.
We
Is
would
there an
like
end
to-
date for that?
An end date?
For like final, drop dead date, you'll definitely hear from us by.
No, it's DOH.
Still.
It's stuck in legal apparently. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the
Phase 6.
approval. The approval went through a year ago or more. The funding was there as far as we know. We haven't provided our match dollars yet, so. we're-
So,
Very interesting.
okay, Train Depot, as you know, I've been the chairman of the Depot Committee. I have two members of the Depot Committee who have remained active. Terry Golden and Jim Bailey. I've talked with them in the past week. They wanted this smallest depot committee to get together with Mr. Martin from Travel Berkeley Springs and talk with him about the depot, about solutions that Jim Bailey has come upon for some help with the building, with heating and just other things that you have with the building that you want to improve on, including exhibits and things like that would be helpful. While we're talking about the depot, this is Mr. Dusty Martin. He is the new executive director of Travel Berkeley Springs, and I'm so glad to have him here this evening. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I just wanted to come introduce myself. I haven't had a chance to come to a council meeting yet, but I'm sure you have been very busy running around, making sure that we get things done around here and improve tourism in the whole county. And I'm a friend of the town of Bath. I want to be able to help improve tourism here within the town of Bath and throughout the county as much as possible. So I wanted everybody to know who I am, because I've met most people in the room, but some folks I haven't met. So, and then I also wanted to mention, since we're on the train depot, one of the biggest concerns for us right now is the plumbing system. If you're not aware, the toilets, well, one of our two toilets completely does not work. It's believed that perhaps the terracotta piping coming into the building has collapsed. So we've almost $1,000 in plumbing fees so far that we've spent without a solution or anything. So yeah, bit of a concern. Part of the reason I came tonight was just to make everybody aware of that.
Okay.
Is that the men's bathroom?
The men.
Mm-hmm.
The men's, yeah.
May I ask a question on that? Has anybody run a camera down there?
That's why they believe the pipes are crushed, because they can get down so far, and then you can tell the water level rises, and then you can't see anything
Okay, but within the building,
from the building to the pipe. Yeah. So this-
outside of the building or underneath the building?
That would be however long the camera.
Right, so
that
they
goes, so I-
believe they believe, I don't know if it would be the building's terracotta pipes or pipes that are leading into the sewer system. I'm not sure the answer to that.
We can replace those.
Because it's just harder to deal with it underneath the building,
They believe it's underneath the sidewalk in front of the building.
underneath the sidewalk. Okay, that's
Oh.
good news to hear.
Yeah, but it's
Better than being under the building.
Better than.
Yeah,
Oh, I'll
well,
say, it's far
building,
less
but it's
invasive to
still-
start digging.
Yeah.
We can provide, the plumber wrote a report, and we can provide you.
Yeah,
Who's the
that's
yeah,
plumber?
that would be great.
I don't know his name. off the
I
top of my
think
head.
Gary Birch did that. Was
Yes, that's the right thing.
Okay, all right, you're good,
Yeah.
He had told me about the
okay.
camera and the issues you were having down there. How many folks are actually coming in and asking to use the bathroom or when you have guests coming
We probably turn away 3 people a day just
in
because
right
of that.
now?
An opportunity also to be giving out information about the town and community, which is, but people when they're on a long drive and they stop to use the restroom, they expect visitors center to have a restroom. So it's just one of those things.
I
It's
know.
and people come in. We have a lot of folks who just come in to use the restroom,
Right.
and that kind of prevents us from having that point of contact with the community with people when they're driving by.
A functional bathroom for men and
You
Well,
know,
that's on the drawing board, you know,
For
we get this.
110 years.
I know, no, but I mean, to get like the outside facility.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
Yeah, the outside
Set
facility
up
for
and
sure,
then-
but
'Cause you could
also
say
just the
yes.
inside facility is important at the
Yeah.
very moment.
Could
Yeah.
you bring us that report from the plumber so that
Absolutely.
we know what we're dealing with down there? So-
Right,
And we're really sorry.
yes,
No,
and
no,
before
I
it
appreciate
gets like super expensive, hopefully they'll figure it out.
We're warm and there's more
Or
Since
there's
than
Dusty's
people down
office is in the women's bathroom, so.
My office is in the women's bathroom.
there.
Just says a woman in the home door.
Every time I walk in there, I'm like,
There's something wrong here. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I just want to make everybody aware of that. I can certainly provide those 2 plumbers reports.
Well, I'd like, and I hope you plan to stay through the meeting because I'd like you to hear, you need to know all the committees and all the things that we're doing. And we're very happy to have you.
I appreciate it. I'm very happy to be here, and I appreciate the support of the township.
And Dusty actually has a very, very good working knowledge and understanding what we do here. We've met several times in detail to go over things, and he is right there, an absolute supporter and friend of the town of Bath as we are with TBS moving forward, collaborating on a bunch of stuff. So I'm really excited that Dusty's here. It's been great.
Yeah.
We really look forward to the spring and summer. So
Okay.
we're very well.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brown. All right, Landmark Commission. Council, there's something we're gonna need to take some actions with this.
Yeah, they need to meet at least to keep their.
We have to seek out more volunteers for that committee.
Yeah.
Clerks and recorders report, election update. Where we are now with the election is the order of the ballots on the ticket that were chosen this morning, correct?
Yes.
The ballot commissioners took care of that, Joyce Jones and
Betty Kelly.
Betty Kelly. They have taken the names in order, spelled correctly, and in their correct order, to the Morgan Messenger, who will print ballots. The next thing that will happen is our ballot commissioners go to the messenger and make sure that all the names are in line correctly and spelled correctly. And you've seen our ballots. They're wonderful. They're little paper ballots.
Well, very old school.
You get your own pencil and you have your own piece of paper, and it's as simple and bright as it can be. So that's where we are with the election process. Have we set a time yet for the training?
No, that's the next on the agenda.
Next on the agenda is training. Anyone working with the election in any way, whether they're early voting, poll workers, or counters, or any of that, they have to take the training that the state provides, which is done here, and it takes maybe an hour and a half. And it's just how to handle ballots and people when they come in like that. So anybody, I believe, is allowed to come and watch the training if you'd like to grab on how it's done and little towns like this. So anyway, as far as I know, that's all that's going on.
Yes.
Nothing else, nothing else. Yes, so it's moving along. Building improvement acknowledgements. We do have quite a few of those, which we're very happy to get to. We have a building improvement, real property improvement, notification, from, Ed Caperton, on Fairfax Street, who is building a little guest house on his property, at the cost of $100,000. JLR Rentals LLC on 377 Wilk Street is building 3 townhouses. And this will be located at the place kind of in the center of William Street that has been abandoned for at least 30 years. It has fallen apart. It's a big, huge mess. So we really welcome this improvement to the whole neighborhood and the town. What he's doing right now is just tearing down that house. He has a plan to put 3 townhouses there, and that plan will come later. But this is to
That's
tear down a really terrible
And
house.
that is, yeah, that's $1 million project.
It's a wonderful project. St. Mark's Episcopal Church, you all may have noticed, is being painted, which is wonderful. This is the little church right across from Woolways service station. So that's being painted. And all these are property improvement notifications that go to the assessor, the tax assessor. And we process them here and pass them on. We have First Monarch Property Ventures LLC at 99 North Washington Street, putting on a new roof replacement, and it looks good. So, very good. Honeysuckle Hedge LLC, they are building a single-family home in the Ravenswood number 2 addition on lots 18 and 19. We don't know that much more about it, but we're going to be looking at it. I think Dave will look into it. It's in his neighborhood, so he'll figure out what
You can see they're building one home on 2 lots, or is it?
No,
They
they're
may-
building one home on the lots right now, hoping to sell the empty lot to whoever buys that house. If that doesn't materialize, then they'll build another house on the second lot.
So,
Is that on, does it front on Visor Street?
No, Johnson Mill and Rothwell.
That's what I thought. It's not, it's a lot
So
of.
now I know where it is.
We had gotten that, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
Okay.
up the hill.
Yeah, it's up
Yeah.
on top of the hill. That's what it
Is
is.
that really in town, or is that outside of
It's
town?
in
Next to
town.
Chris
There's
Chapman's.
2 lots there.
Next to Chris Chapman's.
It's
Yeah.
Ravenswood number 2 edition.
Okay.
Very good.
Oh, number 2. You're
Ravenswood 1 is where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
what it is.
All right.
That's the thing.
So it is up Johnson Mill.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember
Rockwell, actually.
those lots have been available for a minute because I know my realtor had me look at them almost 3 years
It's a
ago.
good location.
It's a nice
Yeah.
location.
Yeah,
A nice
Like build
location.
from scratch, but yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, this is gonna be passed on. Jerry Michaels, the third, is improving, an alleyway behind, oh no, this is a facilities use, excuse me. Those are the property improvements, that are going on that will go to the tax assessor. Then we also have, facilities use, property applications that came to us. One is Jerry Michaels, who is improving the alleyway behind his house. They are just planting flowers and bushes, and it's always been, they've always planted flowers.
He came before
This
us.
is the alley, yeah.
Yeah.
This is and we already approved this for his parents, but his parents sold or gave the house to him, so they felt it would be best if he applied. And this house backs up to the Church of Christ parking lot. So there's always, and they've always done something.
Yeah,
They had
yeah.
a little flower bed there,
Yep.
and so that's all these,
Okay.
that's what he's doing. Then we have bringing in the May, and I think we have some folks here on this, and this did come before council. And we think we have a good understanding of what it is you're asking for, and it's the parking meters on the south side of West Fairfax there, adjacent to the, and we did approve this.
Oh, good.
What we want you to take, some real special consideration is with the fire marshal, because we believe now that there is a requirement for space between food vendors.
Oh,
It's a,
okay, didn't know
it's a
that.
fire thing. They have to be able to get around. They can't, you can't just stack.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And so if you check with that, as far as what
Okay, so who do we need to speak to, the fire marshal or?
the fire marshal, I don't know if the local fire department would have any, be able to give you.
They had to
direction.
do it for Apple Butter.
Okay,
So if you talk to the chamber, they'll know who to call because they had to separate all their food trucks and move to another area because they couldn't line them up like they did. They're required to have so much space now.
well, that makes sense because you got people in between. them.
Right,
Well,
and
I'm
Happy
afraid of
can
the
give you the
chain
name of whoever you need to call, but this way you can set it up properly and not end up having to like pivot in the middle of your event.
Right.
Because the fire marshal comes and is like, these are too
I
close
think there's
together.
enough space there to get,
I think so, but we just need to be aware that.
Gonna have five trucks, right?
We need to be thoughtful in where we put the trucks.
Right.
Right.
We have 4 trucks. We have 5. We have,
Five.
Almost Heaven that does the butterfly potatoes and apple butter.
Yeah.
And they have, sweet potato fries and country ham sandwiches. We have B. Shaw. We know her. The thing I like about her, she has like family, what I call family friendly prices. She has hot dogs and snowballs and stuff like that. And we have Bob's Beef. He's been here every year. He's got the barbecue beef and chicken. And then we have, it's called FN Flatbread. They have pizza. They have the vegetarian option. So we're trying to cover all the bases. And then there's a group called Fried Right, which is chicken tenders and steak and cheese subs. And they have shrimp and funnel cake. So it's going to be a fun
There's
event.
new businesses in town.
Well, I have
They
a
are
list.
gonna need a
Would you
business
like a
license
food
if they're.
copy of the food trucks list or doesn't it matter?
No, but you wanna see Sandy upstairs too, because all those vendors, all those food truck vendors, they need to have a $35 license for events.
Yeah, I did tell them, but I should call them back and double check.
Right.
You know, Bob's is right here in town. and-
Yeah.
And most of these.
And some of them may already have their 35 if they've done other events in town over the course of a year. Or paid a larger fee, depending on what the business is, so, yeah, but Sandy upstairs can make sure you're fully squared away on that.
Now, is it 35 per event or 35 for the year?
35 per event,
Okay.
but,
This has to be multiple days. This
If
isn't,
it's
this
a
is just,
2-day event, it's one fee,
One fee,
Mhm.
one fee.
one fee for 2 days.
yeah, but all that, she takes care of all that stuff upstairs, all the licensing stuff. So she can make sure you guys understand it and then you can make sure all your vendors do.
Right, yeah, we want to do it right. And
Yep,
that's why we're here.
sure.
And I would like to thank the town for approving all our vendors
Yes.
also in Park, approving all of those licenses. I used to bring them all over and have, Sandy, is it?
Mhm.
Just make them all up, but this year I made the vendors do
there you
that.
go. How many vendors do
Yeah,
you have
they
total this year?
30,
Good.
Nice.
That's a big event.
They should do it. They know they can do it.
yeah, I know, they're big
Well,
people.
Just remind them of their 1% municipal sales tax.
Yes, yes, yes. They're also required to have insurance, so it's
Back
fun.
every year.
But thank you.
But anyway, I think if you will get your application back signed. And I did put a note on there about, checking with fire marshal to, make sure about your spacing. And like
And
that.
who do
So
I-
you did that.
I speak to the fire marshal, and
Yes.
the other person I speak to.
Sandy
Sandy
upstairs.
for licenses.
Mhm.
Okay?
Okay, thank you
You
very much.
good?
But otherwise, you're good to go.
You're good?
A question for the parking along the park side and on Fairfax and 522. So there still is a parking available on the side closest to the shops and the new restaurant, right?
on the north
North
side.
side, yeah.
On the
Okay.
park,
When do you need the no parking signs up?
Oh, well, just to be clear, we're asking for the park side of Fairfax Street only, and also 522.
When do you want the parking. Oh,
16,
522.
Wait a minute, we didn't know 522.
Is it put
Yeah,
down
it's on, it's on
Does that
there.
fill
Is
out
it
an
on
It
application?
is?
Yeah.
So just 522 right in front of the park?
Right in front of the park.
Do you need the whole strip? Do you need part of that strip? Just,
I think we'll be okay with part of that stripping, but we're also gonna have vendors loading and unloading because they have to come in. They'll probably be coming, some of them will probably be coming Friday night.
Mhm.
Because people have to set up their booths and their tables and, you know, they need to be right along the park to
What
do
time is
that.
your
So
setup on Friday?
I think this is our third
Noon,
year.
noon till dark,
Yeah.
Noon?
noon till dark.
Okay.
Yeah, we just need to have a space set aside
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that, I think we need to say it's load not load.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Did I
Well,
put five
it's-
twenty-two
it's-
on there?
Yes,
It
you did.
is on
It
there.
is on there, so
Okay.
that's fine. We concentrate on the Fairfax because, but
Right, that-
it's all
yeah.
right with me. I mean,
It's all right
is it
with me
okay?
too. Things may be different next year just with our downtown business community
Right.
starting to grow and them wanting to have proprietary parking available
Right.
near their businesses and such. So, it's becoming a little bit more of a balancing act
Okay.
for everybody. But 522 in front of the park and
Fairfax.
park
Street on the
side
park.
of Fairfax Street, you're good to go for this year. Go see Sandy and you're good.
You just want to make sure that your vendors are good to one another. So
Yeah.
if someone happens to get there early, they might get there early, unpack, get set up, so they leave that space for them. If you have 30 vendors coming,
Yeah.
you know, and they're going to be folks, hopefully they all travel, you know, so
And
there's
like
not 40
non-vendors
cars.
as well, because there's a craft table, so the kids can make crafts, and there's, I don't know if you're aware, but
Yeah.
we have what we call a fairy closet. This is something that I love is
So
that they have, things from Goodwill, or things that are donated, and they sell them for a donation, so some people would only pay like $1.
Yeah, which is
for
great, just
their-
so everyone's aware, you know, you don't want to occupy those 5 spots.
Pardon me?
You don't want to have those 5 spots, and the first 5 vendors that arrive occupy those spots, and the next 25
Or you're holding.
you
know.
don't have a place to unload. So
Right.
if they get there early, unload, go park
Right,
on the,
That's
on
what
the
you
gravel
said to
lot.
do. That's,
Okay,
that's the instructions, unload,
okay.
go park somewhere else.
Perfect.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And
that's
remember
right.
to
Yeah.
keep the sidewalks open, and you want sidewalks open so people have,
Mhm.
yeah. Well, I've seen vendors just paint themselves right on the sidewalk too, so you'll watch that. You got that, you got it. Yeah.
We'll be there when people
And
are
then
there.
they-
Yeah, okay.
All right, y'all good?
Yes,
You
very
good?
good.
Yeah, so much
Thank you
for
very
looking
much.
for.
You're very
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
No, well,
It's a great event. It's nice. Okay, now the next, facilities use, application, and I don't think we talked about it in the meeting. Well, maybe we did. Fiesta, yeah, okay, all right, yes. This would be at Me Ranchito, Oscar Rubble, is having a 25-year anniversary of Me Ranchito. And, what he wants to
This
do
is
is
big,
close
Dusty.
down. This is big, you're gonna
Big.
enjoy this.
it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
so much.
I've heard a lot about it.
So
Yeah.
did he honestly nail down the date that he wants to do that,
He
Susan?
wants to do this on June the 28th. June the 28th.
Did he give a time? or-
And let's see, 4
Begins at 4
p.m.
p.m.
But he wants
No,
to
wait a
close
minute.
the road down at 1.
1 till 9 p.m.
And he wants to close the road down that is the side of Me Ranchito that goes over to whatever that is.
It's Mercer Union.
Yeah,
Mercer View.
yeah.
And it's, it is a great event, and I did sign this, I suppose, as I'm looking at it
He's
again.
gonna have horses and different things, so he's gonna. do
Yeah,
that.
he needs all that space for his trailers and his stuff. I fully endorse and approve
Yeah.
letting him do this.
You have to see the dancing horses
You have to see him standing on his horse.
with the thing,
Yeah.
sombrero.
Yeah.
Gosh.
It's got a
Okay.
great voice.
I've heard it's really cool.
This whole family, they're all talented.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The son is the front.
Okay, thank you. Next. What else you got there?
I don't know, my voice. I don't know what happened.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yeah.
You got water?
Hmm?
You got water?
Yeah, I just Some water. Golly, I don't know what happened. That's what happens to you.
It's the
We
mayor.
gotta upgrade that to recipe. Maybe you'll be feeling better.
That's right.
The mayor.
Okay. I think we have now gone through all the property
girl.
use.
You've got the Independent Street for inside chaos.
Hey,
Hey, girlfriend, okay.
Yep.
All right, I told you to watch me. Okay, this is at Inspired Chaos, Saturday, June the 7th. And, what they would like to have is two parking spaces on that corner, Independence and Wilkes, at the store because they have an outdoor sale. From what I'm, remembering of what they've done in the past with the Cocoa Crawl and like that, they just set up a trailer or whatever
Yep.
there on the corner.
Mhm.
And they sell products off of the trailer for just that day from well, I guess to
All day, I guess.
from whenever they
Is that a
6
Saturday?
a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yep,
They
yep,
do
yep.
have it.
And they just want the two spaces in front of the, front of it.
Yeah, and
So,
it makes
yep.
a festive atmosphere.
Yep. So good
we
for
did
them.
find-
All good.
All right. Okay, that's done. All right. So move along here to finance. We do have a budget revision in front of us, and Sharon, I'm hoping you can help maybe explain this a little bit. So that we,
So the budget revision is one that needs to go to the state. It also has some internal changes, but the majority of it comes from the sales tax, municipal sales tax that we implemented effective January the 1st. We got our first payment on that for the first quarter. However, we had not budgeted in our budget when we did it for the year because we had no concept of how much money that would actually turn out to. So that is what the bulk of this revision would like to do, is some of the other funds are coming in higher. We always budget the revenue low, and it's coming in a little bit higher than we had budgeted. So with that, I'm requesting that we do the budget revision. And because it needs to go to the state, we need to do a resolution for that where people actually vote yay or nay.
right. And this would be, I believe it's in everyone's packet, resolution 2025-05-01. And this, the subject is the revision of the levy estimate for the budget of the town of Bath. And we're approving this extra income that has come in that we're quite proud of and happy to have, make life easier for us and and bring improvements for our citizens. But this resolution does require a voice vote. So I will go down, and what I'm asking for is approval of resolution 2025-05-01. And
I do have to have it moved and second also.
I'd like to make a
Yes.
motion that we approve the resolution 2025-05-1 for the budget revision that we will be making internally and submitting to the state for review and approval.
Second.
Okay, is there discussion? All right. And I'll give this, since this is a voice vote, I have Scott Murphy, who is absent, Susan Webster, yes. Elizabeth Skinner,
Yes.
Mary Lynn Hickey,
Yes.
Rebecca McLeod,
Yes.
Greg Sheen,
Absolutely, yes.
David O'Connell.
Yes.
All right, the resolution has passed, and I'll be in the morning, I guess, to sign the paperwork to go into the
I
state.
can sign it.
You can sign?
Yes, so it says at the bottom of the resolution,
Okay,
you authorize me to sign it and submit it.
okay, good. All right, then we have.
So,
Okay,
so we have the town of Bath bills for payment, in the amount of $16,128.65.
on that one of us.
Motion to approve?
Second. Berkeley Springs water
Whoa, whoa,
bills.
whoa. All in favor?
Oh, sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Fine. right.
the Berkeley Springs water bills in the amount of $68,178.07.
I move that we approve the waterworks bill.
Second.
All right, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We have the hotel motel distribution in the amount of $51.
Make a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
And then the last one would be the cemetery distribution of $99.
I move we approve the Greenway expenditure of $99.
Second,
Second.
discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, I think that's all we have for finance, right? Okay, tree board. Do you wanna talk to us?
I have three things. Lance Straight has been our tree steward for probably 15 years, 12 to 15 years, and his responsibilities at work have become so heavy that he had to resign the position.
I move that we accept the resignation of Lance Straight as the town of Bath tree steward.
Second.
Discussion?
Oh, sorry.
Discussion, that's okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. The tree board has voted Craig Dean. We recommend Craig Dean as Lance's replacement. Craig has already handed in his volunteer paper. He has the qualifications required under the ordinance, tree board ordinance.
Do I have a
I'd like to make a motion to bring Craig Dean as the
tree steward?
tree, well, the
Tree board committee
Tree
member.
board committee.
Well, tree steward.
tree-
Oh,
that's a
yeah, it's
separate-
steward.
Is different.
position.
It is.
Steward.
Mhm. Okay. I have a motion,
I'll second.
discussion,
I just think it's wonderful that Craig's volunteering to do this because he's just great. You're able to replace Lance with a person, equal
Craig
skill,
has been-
talent, commitment.
Coming to meetings for well over a year. And one of the gifts that he brings to the position is he has a little more free time. Or he has a great deal of flexibility in his time.
He's given us a lot of volunteer
Oh,
hours.
hours and
already.
yes,
Right.
yes.
and he's here, he's right here
Yeah,
in
he's-
town.
Case of
all the
emergency, he's
Right,
right here.
he's
time.
right
here.
there.
So,
So
I would like to, on behalf of the town council, I would like to publicly thank Lance Straight for his many years of faithful work as member of the tree board and as our tree steward. And we do welcome.
thank you. I
Yes,
do think he'd
request.
appreciate
Yeah.
that recognition.
He deserves it for sure.
yeah, let's call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That rousing support.
And Andy and I met with the man who is building the townhouses on Wilk Street. He had 3 issues of concern, none of which the town or the tree board can do anything about.
Okay.
One is overhanging trees on Wilk Street, I guess would be the west side of Wilk Street, it's on private property. The crown has been raised high enough that traffic, cars, even pickup trucks can go by. But with construction vehicles, it's a little tight for him. There's another area where bushes, trees come out into the road, and that's on, I guess, St. George. Again, it's private property. He was willing to speak to the owners and volunteer to do the trimming. And he was gonna speak to Sharon about what the address, or what the people's name.
I'm mixed up with
The,
place of talking. Which
Is
one?
it not stop?
This is Matt.
This is the four,
Schwartz.
this is the 4 houses.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
the-
yes, for how, yes,
We got another one doing
Okay.
3.
yeah.
Perfect. No, thank you, Kate.
And then finally, we had our Arbor Day celebration this past Saturday. We had planned to plant a tree at the edge of the rain garden in Greenway Cemetery. But you mentioned that tremendous snowstorm that went through and it took down one of the old trees in the park. And so we checked with Beth, we did kind of an emergency switch, talked to the park people, and they were very happy to have it's an October Glory maple planted in the place of a sugar maple. And the October Glory maple will get to be 80 feet high at times, so I don't think any of us will live to see it, but it should be a nice replacement.
She's a fast grower.
And
That is helpful.
when Sam Adams was here, he brought our swag. One of the things is a new flag. I guess they must think we have the flag outside, being borne away by the wind. This is a heavier flag, and I would like to propose to the council that we hang this new flag on the wall, and that we offer Travel Berkeley Springs the old flag so that they can make the most of the fact that this is a green city, it's a tree city, USA. And I think we could give this to Travel Berkeley Springs also, so that they can.
Does one of them go on? Did we get a sticker?
We
for
got
our
the
sign?
stickers saying that this is our 18th year, and Andy and I will get those on the signs in the near future.
How many signs do we have in town, Kate?
There's one on the post office and one by Beth's house.
Yeah. okay.
And last year we had to scrape off probably, 14 or 15 layers so that
This
we
is the
could
18th year.
yes, but this is not the sign that goes on the street signs. This is just
A sticky.
a sticky,
Yeah.
and so, as I said, I'd like to give it to Travel Berkeley Springs so they can also celebrate that we're a tree city USA. Is that okay with you?
And swapping out the banners too, why not?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll leave this very heavy flag.
Yeah, I thought it was
We don't
great.
have a
Thank you.
flagpole.
Yeah, if we had a flagpole, this would be great to hang.
It's one of the first things that Beth Skinner asked the governor for was a flagpole.
We used to have a flagpole because I used to put the flag up.
I have one in my backyard that if somebody wants to remove it and bring it here, they can.
The
We got one
flagpole
in my
here,
front yard,
we
too.
never had a flagpole.
Oh, yes, we did.
Where
But
was it?
It was right up front because I raised and lowered the flag.
Well,
Every
Andy
day.
Schwing used to too, because he told me that. So that was his first job of the day.
Really?
I had to
A
hold it by
long time
myself.
ago.
What
Properly.
years was that?
87 through 92.
Okay, I wasn't here.
I was.
But it was, I
You
mean, I
were
wasn't on
around.
council, I was
Yeah,
here,
you were-
but not on council.
You were
But
in
we
this
were-
building.
we
This
were
was the
in this
federal
building.
office. This was the
Yes.
USDA office.
Yeah. This was the
Oh.
USDA office, Wick was in here.
No, it was just Farm Service Agency and NRCS, which was soil conservation.
Okay, all right.
And we had this whole side,
I
and
will-
they had that side.
I will note that the tree board meets on the third Wednesday of every month at 5 o'clock, and the agenda is already outside, and everyone is welcome to attend.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right.
And there will be tree mulching.
Oh, yes, that's coming up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have to leave. Should I take that paperwork with me?
We'll mail it to you. It has to be
Yeah.
signed and then we'll.
Thank you for letting me time.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
Tree mulching will take place on the 20th with the Public Works crew and the Town of Bath Tree Board, and we welcome volunteers to come and rake.
And weed, the mulch, Craig says that we really don't need to replace a lot of the mulch. We need to sort of
Be
break it
easier.
up and pull whatever weeds have poked through. We would need
Refresh
to,
the mulch.
we need to trim the water shoots, but that can be done with a clipper. And I think that Craig is going to try and go out and raise the crowns as they need to be raised something other
He raised it last year. I hope he doesn't keep raising them.
than taller people coming down.
Well, I like you already.
Are we mulching all the gardens or just around the trees?
Greg is saying fluff. right?
Well, we are putting some new mulch on. The mulch that we used last year was a fiber mulch from Palace, so it was thinner, but we're using the mulch that we have gotten from the trees that were taken down, so it's chips, it'll last a little longer. But we don't need mulch on every tree, but we still have to visit every tree to make sure that they are in good shape.
So like the town gardens and the little bump out gardens and all those, are they going to be mulched?
They're not gonna get mulched with the chips because, they don't work well in the planter beds.
Okay.
We are gonna try and mulch some on the rain gardens, if we can get some of that cleaned out. So I've been working on that as I can. There's a lot of primrose that needs to be added. It's taken over.
Okay, anything else for tree board? Thank you. Grant,
Thank you, Susan. So I have several updates. Last week I submitted grant reports that were due for COPS and also for the Appalachian Forest Grant for the new website that is in progress. I submitted those both on April 30th. We are waiting on the police cyber grant money. They pushed the deadline, unfortunately. And so we'll know by July 1. So we're just waiting to hear about that. And that will fund a bunch of new computers in the police department. I made 2 new grant submissions. One was congressionally directed spending through Senator Capito's office. The maximum was $1 million, so I asked for $1 million. The project for the water restoration of the plant, I used a projected number from Rick of 2.5, but it doesn't matter if it's more or it's less. I mean, $1 million is still the most I could get, so we did ask for that. We'll find out. We should find out by July if we made the first cut for funding, so that's out there. And also submitted a grant to the Sealy Foundation. So waiting to hear back from them. The water department was not eligible for the cyber grant money in the same way that the police department was. There just wasn't enough there. I was committed to a creative writing exercise to pull something together, but I just didn't have enough actual facts to make that a legit exercise. So I abandoned it.
It may be something in the future. It's
Possibly.
more so once we've gotten our SCADA system kind of organized enough to be able
Yeah.
to give you those facts.
Right, and also Rick did mention that once a year, the water department goes through an audit, a cybersecurity audit, and there are recommendations. So it's not like you were woefully out of step as a baseline anyway. So I just, moved along from that. And I did get an update from Jennifer Wishmeyer just this afternoon about the GIS mapping project. And she is telling me that they met with Homeland Security and last week, and they're moving forward with applying for funding. There's additional information. One of their staffers will reach out to me to coordinate documents and information that they need. We'll need a resolution and some public participation, and they have templates and guidance for all of that. A lot of that is standard with certain grants to get the money. You have to public meetings or public education, all those things. So that is still very much in play, and we're keeping an eye on that. So those are the updates. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is that I was the entire staff of Region 9 travels to all the jurisdictions where they have funding footprints, and that includes us. And they asked to meet with myself and with Greg. They'll be here. I don't have the date in June. Greg, I did email you back to ask you if you were around for that. And they'll come here. And then basically it's an opportunity for us to really talk in depth, as we did last year, actually on Greg's front porch, to talk all about the water utility. And a year later, this is all a major focus of my funding efforts. So we'll have that opportunity with Region 9 again in the month of June. And we'll certainly host them and create that opportunity. And I'll give you all more information when that's locked down, if anyone else wants to join it.
Mhm.
And
It's good to walk around and show 'em.
yeah, like see, feel, touch. This is, yeah, I mean, we need help.
I have an update.
Yeah.
The watershed grant is unfrozen. And so we're starting work again on that. The,
Is
we've
that
already,
the NRC?
NRCS, watershed, Warm Springs Run, watershed plan, and environmental assessment, primarily for flood risk reduction.
Right. The funds are unfrozen now?
They are unfrozen. We had selected Janet Fleming to do the planning work with us. So they're reestablishing the timeline for the items that have to be done. And one of the first things on the list is the public participation plan, which to get the cost down on the contract, we have agreed to help them out with setting that up by providing stakeholder names, mailings. Warm Springs Watershed Association has agreed to help come up with some of the stakeholders, help with
Now,
logistics to set that public meeting up that we have to have, and the items that we'll need when they start talking to us.
So where they have the meetings and like that, and all that logistics, because it could be, I'm thinking a large meeting. I mean, people, because
Possibly,
it's the
it's not gonna be in
bypass.
here.
No, it's the bypass, right?
It's the
People
watershed.
just all the way, yeah. So,
County court.
a lot, yeah. It's a lot.
Well, we
Okay.
will include the county's planning because it's part of the land is in the county.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's very good news.
Yeah, okay.
$612,000 grant.
I know. Well, are you
Our
you
first,
working with the county planners
I
on?
haven't started yet because I didn't know what was gonna happen. I just got the word
Okay,
last week.
okay, all right.
Perfect.
Dusty, good. What was the grant you mentioned this morning when we were talking?
REI.
You want to explain that to Mary?
Yeah, sure. REI grant is, so right now, the REI grant specifically, which I think it stands for Recreation Economic Impact or Recreation Economic Incentive, one or the other. It's a $24,000 grant. They have a pool of money that dries up in October that they're currently just trying to get anybody to apply for.
Yes, please.
You have to prove, a city can't apply for it.
That Civic Trust could.
Exactly, a nonprofit is allowed to
Yep.
apply for it.
Okay.
So, essentially, you just have to prove that whatever you're doing is going to benefit that nonprofit or that business and create recreational economic impact within the community. that
Oh my
you have.
goodness. I'm all over this. Can you send me some deets?
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate
The
that.
one thing that makes this difficult, because I just learned about this. I don't have a grants background. I have a marketing background, so
Mhm.
I'm just learning about grants. It's been out for a long time.
Yeah.
And it dries up in October, so all deliverables for the grant also have to be completed by October. So now
Okay.
you're talking, it has to be a quick
Yeah.
project, but
Yeah.
hopefully it receives funding again. That's up in the air right now, but it's a private grant. It's not a public grant.
Cool.
So it's not relying on federal funding or anything like that.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll see.
Post haste. Before you close your laptop for today, would you please send me those details?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I will be all over that and get a great. The Sealy went through the Bath Civic Trust because the municipality, it was just the way the funding was. And if we get it, it's all for the Christmas market. And I don't even mind sharing this. If we get the full amount I asked for, it will include free ice skating the entire weekend for Christmas market. So we're hoping that happens because it was so well attended last year, and 500 kids wanting to skate in 2 days, clearly under some unmet need for recreational opportunities. So, okay, that is great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes. The I grant is the next grant we'll be applying for.
Okay, I see that. I can see that happening.
Good work.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we ready to move on to public safety? Dink, public safety?
Scott's not
Here
here.
and here. Chief,
Don't have anything to.
really? All right, telling the truth. All right. All right, cemetery.
I will let the Public Works Committee address the issue of mowing and greenway since the mowing season has started. Since that burden has been taken off the cemetery committee and the cemetery corporation, we are turning our attention toward other issues. The cemetery corporation met last week for the first time in several years. We added a new board member. Dave O'Connell has agreed to serve as our treasurer, and we will be looking also for an additional officer for secretary. We also invited to attend the meeting, our meeting, Terry Golden, who is very actively involved in the Morgan County Historic and Genealogical Society. And he is their primary genealogist at this point. He has done a tremendous amount of work with me to get our records in order, and he and Dave O'Connell do all the genealogical stuff. For example, when we have a family that's looking for a grandmother or great grandmother because the family wants to find the grave and put a marker on it, sometimes you have to literally do genealogical research to figure out where the person is in the cemetery based on their genealogy. So we met with Terry to slowly, hopefully, move the Genealogical Society to take on some of the weekly responsibility that I do now of finding graves, updating records, helping families locate how many people are in their family plots and so forth and so on. So we had a very good meeting with Terry and Cody Ford, who was going to resign, but she was so excited about our plans for the future with what we are turning our attention to improve Greenway Cemetery as well as the English Cemetery and the Dutch Cemetery, that she decided to not resign her position but to continue working with us. And so we're pretty excited about the directions that we are taking, and we will keep you informed as we make progress.
Awesome. Okay. Oh, well, that's wonderful. We also heard last week, Beth and I did, from Steve French, who is continuing his. You want to speak to that?
The Civil War Trail Organization is nearly done with our sign for the Union General Barstow's grave that we've been trying to get done for somewhere between 2 and 3 years. The text that's going on the sign is founded upon the research and writing that Steve French did. The organization did some rewrite, but basically the work is his. Our next step is to have, when the sign is done, to have a public event for the dedication of the site. The headstone has been cleaned and is ready for public view. When the sign is installed, we will have a public event where we will invite the county commissioners who help pay for the sign, along with some other organizations. So we've got some plans to bring attention to that. We hope to involve Steve French as one of the speakers and maybe have some music from that time period. So we got some, some good ideas as to how to bring attention to this grave site. We've also found out through the work of Terry Golden that there are actually other Civil War soldiers, both from both the Union and the Confederacy, buried in Greenway. So that may be something that we also mention at the event. But it's one of our plans that we discussed at our meeting is developing some kind of different maps or tours, that perhaps self-guided tours in the cemetery, where we would identify where, for example, the Civil War soldiers are buried throughout the cemetery, or World War I soldiers. And so we have a lot of things that we're looking at to bring the public's attention back to Greenway. It is their cemetery, and the history of not only Bath, but Morgan County is there. And we need to maintain it and bring more attention to it. And we are hoping within the next year to be able to get all of our records online. I attended and Dave attended a dedication at the library last week of the new signs that have been put up throughout the town to re-identify the buildings on different lots of the original lots of Bath. And we also attended a training, the introduction for a training in cemetery for access for residents of Morgan County to use Heritage Foundation's genealogical website so they can do genealogical work on their own families. And obviously the Morgan County Historical Society as well as Cemetery Committee will be using that site. And we hope to bring people in to do that, to get a better understanding of the people who are buried in Greenway. So we've got a lot of exciting things going on as to say this is an important part of our history, especially with the 250th anniversary of the town and country coming up. So it's pretty exciting with what we're looking at.
The name of the site is My Heritage.
That's right. You're right. My
Heritage
Heritage.
Foundation, DC.
Yeah, and all you have to do is go to the library, go through a very short training, and then you actually have access to use the computer in the library, or you can access your account to My Heritage from home, so, or your own device.
Is the Barstow sign going to be on 522?
It will be on his plot.
Oh, it will.
Yes, it will be on his plot. Yeah. And I think there's going to be 2 small markers, kind of point people as they enter the cemetery how to get to it. But
You can see the stone from the road.
yeah,
Now that
you
it's
can.
clean.
Right. No, it's going to be right on his gravesite. So
It's cool. It's neat.
Kudos, Beth.
Yeah.
it's our first, probably our first educational sign. Well, I should say our second, because the tree board has an
Watershed
educational
Association.
sign. Excuse me, the Watershed Association has a sign
Mhm.
on educating the public on the rain garden kind of plants that are there. So, yeah, so a lot of good things happening.
I would like to point something out here. This is the most extensive report that Beth has done since I've been on.
Well, your enthusiasm is
And
contagious.
it did not involve the word grass.
There was
That's
no,
for the next report.
yeah, there was no crying.
There was-
There was no crying. Yeah, so I'm happy for Beth that she
Yes,
has got
indeed.
the help that she has. And
Mhm.
she deserves. She slowed through that a lot.
So we'll find grant requests too, as right.
Yes. All right. Thank you. All right. Public Works.
Now comes the cry. Public Works has taken over the mowing responsibilities for Greenway. We have hired 3 part-time seasonal employees to do lawn trimming. We're still looking for 2 other part-time candidates now. They've started work. We think they're going to do a good job. The Public Works crew is also pitching in to help out, and they have the new mower that we were able to purchase with part of the funding through the Cemetery Committee and part through Public Works. I hope that's all been transferred. So we're gonna see how it works out. We may, have to do some adjustments. The grass is probably gonna be a little bit longer up there while we figure out our timing and get the scheduling down and everything. The rain has created a little bit of need to get in there and do a little bit more now because of all the growth, but it's also cutting into mowing time. But that's gonna work out. It'll go. It'll be good. We had received paving quotes to do Warren Street. We have given the go-ahead on the low bidder, E&W Contracting Excavators, and we are on their schedule. As soon as they can get to us, we'll have a new paving job on Warren. Should only take 1 day to get it done. It's a short street. They're gonna have to tear it up first before they,
What was the final number on that?
22,000. Just for the half of the street, not the entire street. We did get a quote on the area around the German cemetery too, but we don't have the funding for it this year.
How much extra was that?
That would be another 28,000.
Oh, you got it, now you got it.
All right, I'm sitting back here.
Well, I don't know what, I'm not saying anything, I don't know what happened. Yeah, okay.
The depot bricks are being slowly stacked up, which we have to thank David Stoltz for that. Starting to look good. We don't know where that one pile of dirt came from down there, but that'll get transported once the bricks are done. We transport that up to our fill area on Myers Street.
I think that stuff that they're knocking off of the, you know.
It's got gravel.
No,
I think it came from the park. There were a couple of piles,
okay.
but that we had to remove one. I think that's probably true. We met with Potomac Edison about lighting in town. And they have agreed, since we don't have a contract with them right now, they have agreed to replace up to 50 lights per year once we make a decision about what kind of lighting we want. We had a number of questions that they weren't able to answer when we were talking about the type of light, what its specifications were, if there were any warranties on it, longevity, maintenance, issues like that. So we developed a list of questions that's been sent off to Potomac Edison. We haven't heard back from them yet. They have agreed to do some demonstrations for us up front. So we selected 3 locations with different quality of light because the lighting on main intersections needs to be more intense. We don't want to get too intense because we do have some decorative lighting as well that lights closer to the sidewalk. So we want to make sure that we're not overpowering. I guess some people have gone to Hancock, and at night it can be quite brilliant. So we don't want to do too much.
Or Hancock, one more thing.
So we've looked at the color of the light, and we're trying to keep it warmer, as warm as possible. And the wattage, which would be the intensity. So we're going to try one on the main road, I think closer to William Street, because Congress Street, which is a side road, and then a residential area on Wilkes at Independence.
Okay.
Because that light's out. Our decorative light is still out, and we're still trying to
Is
find.
that the one in front of the Kidwell's house?
Yes. We're trying to find an electrician that will do the repairs, but we haven't been able to yet. But that would be the residential. They've also given us the option of not replacing certain lights. So once we get the demos in, we'll want to communicate with the community to see whether they're willing to give up a light, perhaps. They don't like brightness in their community or in their face.
Right. Okay, all right.
So that's moving along nicely. Great.
Yeah, lighting's important. We're not having lighting.
Our next meeting is Tuesday, 8:30.
Okay, ordinance?
Next meeting is this Thursday at 4. What was that? Actually, it's 22nd. I gotta double check that actually. That may not be correct.
It is next week, right?
Yeah, that's what we have.
The third Thursday.
Yeah, I think it's the 20th.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll correct that to the 22nd. I have drafted the vacant property registry ordinance, but it doesn't make any sense to bring that forward until we've completed the ordinance for updating building codes and the updating our building permit fee structure. So all that is all those things are in process. Dick's had a couple cases this month and hasn't gotten back to me in regard to a couple pieces I need on building code. Outside of that, those are the only things I have at the moment. The rest of some new initiatives that will start after the 1st of July.
Alright. Waterworks.
Waterworks, we have a meeting tomorrow, 2:00. I'd like to first point out that my plan is to change the alignment of the meetings. One of the problems with all my discussions, it's always about what we're about to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so by changing the alignment of the meetings, hopefully my report will be about what we decided on the previous week as opposed to what we're going to discuss tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that being a good adjustment. I will say that I've been engaging with the finance committee in terms of kind of like from an auditing point of view of where is the P&L stand in terms of the water company and where were we in the past and the general basically where we're at versus where we were a year ago is that the books, the finances are much more stable and that we're not running in the red. For FY25, we were literally 225,000 that was in the red. So the water company's books were almost a year behind where the town was in terms of stress level. Right now, we're, as of January, we were pretty much net in the black with a projection of staying in the black for the year end. That's projections are heavily based on opinion, but I'm feeling fairly optimistic about the finances. And that's my update.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there anything else to come before council? Councilman? Not,
I-
I wanted to throw something out here if that's okay.
Just one real quick thing. Was it Terry Golden who's replacing all the signs around town?
Yes.
Yeah, I just think he deserves a shout out because I saw him in several locations walking my dog
He did
over a
them
couple
all
days, getting
by
those signs
himself.
all replaced and yeoman's work, and he was very excited to just.
I think there were, if I recall, I think there were 80.
Yeah, he said there were 116.
he loves every minute of
Yeah.
it.
And they're all metal now too.
Mhm.
And he started that whole, buying them, going, doing the whole thing, and so he is a good guy, he's on a mission. And
Yep.
I'm glad he's on our side.
And homeowners will be able to buy some pedestals if they would like them for their, so, some of the homes have pedestals and some are just attached to the house.
Yeah.
So Terry is going to offer a pedestal. If you want a pedestal in front of your property, you can purchase it. So
Rather than attached
Just
to
in the
your building.
building.
Oh, that's
Some people
nice.
just don't like it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's too hard.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want a pedestal. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I've already ordered one.
Great.
All right, okay.
15th, if you are able to come, we are having our first ever tourism rendezvous. It's our annual membership meeting for Travel Berkeley Springs. We're gonna have a guest speaker come in from Fairmont. He took his business, a retail business, which you never see retail businesses successful these days, from online to Main Street. Bought a historic building, revitalized it, and now it's a tourist destination across the state. His products are sold in every single state park in the state. Really successful guy. I think it's a really inspirational conversation he'll be having. So love for you guys to come and experience it as well. And I would like for you guys to be there just so you can also see a little bit about what the future is going to look like for Travel Berkeley Springs and how that's going to affect the town of Bath. So I just want to personally come and invite you. I really hope to see you. Second thing I wanted to say is we've got these.
Yay!
So these have been being worked on for 2 years. With that being said, this isn't the final iteration, but I just said we need to get some printed. So they're, even though not everybody agrees on what they should look like yet, they look good and they're printed. One change that I'd like to see made, and I think most folks in this room would appreciate, I'm a branding and a marketing guy. I understand we have the Berkeley Springs brand, but I also think the town of Bath is such an important historical thing. Another reason I really like the town of Bath as a promotional tool is because I think that I always tell everyone, and most people in this room have heard me say this, nobody cares about you. They care about your business. Nobody cares about your business. They care about you. So being able to actually say, like, Berkeley Springs versus the town of Bath thing, having it all over town and having it almost like where when people start asking a question, then they're gonna meet folks in this town and they're gonna understand how much history means to us. So I want that to be something that's used as a tool to build connection in the town. So this says the Berkeley Springs downtown map, and I wanted to say the Berkeley Springs town of Bath map. And then on the back,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. And then on the back, the whole county can be listed, but then that will be more under the umbrella or the brand of Berkeley Springs. We have Berkeley Springs, and instead of utilizing a term like downtown, utilizing the town of Bath in its place.
Historic town of Bath.
Historic town of Bath, sure, yeah, absolutely.
Can I
So-
put that up close before-
Yeah, I got laminated copies for everybody.
What?
Yes.
Party gifts. I love it.
Yeah.
I like the two-sided idea.
Yeah, and that was one of those things. The creator came out and they made it, and it had the Potomac River, so, like
Right here.
right here, and it had like Route 9 crossed over 522 within like a quarter of an inch from Hancock. It just looked so crazy on the whole side, and I was like, no, just get them printed. We'll get to this
Yeah.
later. So we have all of these. These are for you guys, and then you'll see them. And if anybody in this room has business that wants to have them displayed, they come on a gum pad, so you can just rip it right off.
Oh, nice.
We're gonna have these all over town. So
So great.
yeah, thank you, and thank Sam Duvall, Kate Kobe. They were instrumental in making this happen as well.
Mhm.
It just I didn't want it to take any longer, so we just went with what they had. There'll be changes. Some businesses will open, some businesses will close. So when that happens and we're ready to make a revision, we'll make our first revisions.
What time's your meeting on the 19th?
It is when registration begins at 5 p.m. The meeting really starts at 6.
Is there an election for the board of directors that evening?
There is.
There is.
That is when we'll have our election. So it is in place of our annual membership meeting that we used to have. I don't know if I'm supposed to be
Is
doing
that
this.
at the country inn?
No, it's like a Cape.
Oh,
Cape Resort.
okay.
The 9th to the 6th.
Yes, I got a paper here about it for you.
All right, thanks.
And you got one of those.
Thank you.
Do you need RSVPs before?
You don't technically need to RSVP. It just lets us know how much food to get, different things like that. So we ask that you RSVP. But if you don't, it's not fun.
Chelsea, can I have one of the gum ones for in here?
Absolutely.
Lovely. Thank you very much. That's awesome.
When do you expect the first revisions?
There's some talk around town about a couple of businesses that might be opening and closing.
Yeah.
So once
Like Proof on Washington?
Proof on Washington and other places in town. So once some of those rumors become, the Proof on Washington might be on there already, yeah. So there's some other things that are going on, and then we also want to try to revise the reverse of the map. So if there's major changes to the businesses within town before the reverse of the map is done,
Mm,
we'll do our first revision.
Gotcha.
If not, then we'll probably hold off until the reverse side of it's done.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and I do have big feelings about historic town of Bath, because it is our differentiating.
I agree.
And it's the language we're starting to use, referring to ourselves.
And yes, and I think another thing in the long term, which isn't something that's going to happen overnight, I'm not saying that it is, but I think we should try to tell the story from Travel Berkeley Springs as Berkeley Springs being the meaning of Berkeley Springs, what it originally meant, right? It's the area, and that's why we are Travel Berkeley Springs. We are county-wide. But for some reason, there's never been this emphasis on the town of Bath, which there ought to be. I'm 100% a believer in that, and I think it is a differentiating factor and an important brand piece that we can utilize to our advantage in our storytelling in town. So,
We're on your side with that.
You can play with that the springs feed into the bath.
but yeah, and I mean, I always like the phrase like drink George Washington's bathwater. You know? So, and
People like that.
I don't want to. So I know I'm not supposed to keep going, but you know, on track, Jordan Ware, who's executive director of the Morgan Arts Council, and myself, we're trying to champion an idea of utilizing bathtubs, like old metal tubs within the community, as a beautification project. Be really inexpensive. They could be used as planters. They could be used for whatever benches or whatever a business wants them to do. but this is utilized in many cities across the United States, and I think it would be really, really cool, really easy funding. I'm sure there's a grant that could get us a few $1,000s or some bathtubs, and it's just a matter of ensuring that the sidewalks are partitioned correctly and things like that. So
Dusty, what's the drop dead deadline for adding a business? Are you
I
past it?
have 50 of them printed already.
Okay.
50 gum pads.
Okay.
Now, with that being said, the country end may give them all out in a weekend. So,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
I haven't ordered more than 50. I ordered enough for the membership meeting to give to all the folks on the 19th.
You ordered 50 of the gum pads.
50 of the gum pads.
Okay.
How many on a gun pad? 100?
25, I think.
Well, that was good.
Yeah, those are big and heavy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, even if, like, I can't, everybody listed probably gonna want one, you know?
Yes, well, yeah, but unfortunately, we don't expect there to be for everybody to be at the meeting. You know,
Yeah.
we from years in the past, we've noticed that there's not a huge participation from TDS, but that's why I'm trying to do the footwork to invite folks from each community. I'm going to be in the Paw Paw City Council meetings as well. Like, I'm going everywhere that I can go to ensure that there's participation from all stakeholders of the community. So I want you guys to be there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just as a point of information, the 250th anniversary committee has also talked about the bathtubs in front of businesses. So, just so you know, that conversation is happening in more than one place in town.
Wonderful. I'm going to be
That's
at
what
that.
Jordan's still point personal. on that.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
one person kind of, is driving it.
No, she's driving it without a doubt. So.
Great.
You
Thank
need to
you
have
so
a town
much.
hall on here. We don't have town hall.
I know, we don't have town hall. There's some things. We'll make a list.
Okay. Yeah. Well, also, this is from a tourism perspective too, right?
Yes.
All right.
So there can always be larger iterations of this map made for display, and that may include government offices. But if somebody is walking around town, they're not necessarily looking for town hall.
But they are paying parking.
I was gonna say,
Up here, believe me, you're paying their parking ticket.
Exactly.
That's what we put on the map. Instead of town hall where to pay your parking ticket.
That's fine.
I will say, and I was told to bring this up, but we had an Instagram influencer that a lodging partner brought in the other day, and she got a ticket and she blasted us on social media. And she has a lot of followers, so that looked really bad on the community. And she reached out to me directly and told me that I needed to take it up with the city, but I'm not actually taking it up with you. Just wanted you to know she didn't say it.
She can make a contribution to Public Works and to pay the streets.
That just kills me
Sounds
when
like a
people
very
do
nice
that.
Well, right, exactly. I don't think we have any,
Legit God did.
well, we never paid for her to come in the first place. It was a lodging partner.
You did. I didn't.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah. Anything else? Anybody?
Okay.
Hey, how about this meeting's over? How about
Mm,
that?
Motion to adjourn.
Yes. Yeah,
So moved.
Well, that's what happens when we go for 3 weeks.